Hi guys, welcome back again to my channel. My name is the What Player, and now we're going to review those tanks, those 8.5 update that brings lots of interesting features, in my opinion. For example, you'll see some buffs and some nerfs. First of all, here they are the new PDR tanks, the Chimera, the T-54 light tank, the Panzer II. They will be a little bit modified even on the models. First of all, they're going to modify the T54 E1 gun or the stock gun for the T69, the 90 millimeter. That is the autoloader one, 90 millimeter gun T178. Second of all, they're going to buff the QQF 20 PDR gun barrel, and um, this isn't a buff for those tanks. It is a buff, yes, but not so much because the tank that will enjoy more this is actually another tank, the Tier 8. They are going to rebuff again the Pershing. They are going to buff. They're going to buff a little bit of his DPM of the the full gun. It will be carry actually a solid 2300 DPM for being a tier 8 medium. We can see the Pershing. It isn't the sorry, my internet is kind of slow. I don't know why, but here we are. The Pershing that isn't actually the best medium tank as we know, but I noticed the Wargaming keep buffing this line with the buff for the Patton, the buff for the Pershing. Those tanks are going to buff pretty heavily in these days, sorry. As I told you, the full gun of the 69, a 70 millimeters buff for standard penetration, not that great. T26E4 actually received a base aim time buff. This is great, honestly. And T32, they're going to buff the 1 millimeter, 105 millimeter from the T29 gun, but only I think for the T44, the Chrysler, they're going actually to receive 30 millimeters of penetration more or 20 millimeters of penetration more. That's super high, super good for a standard AP pen. This was very needed for this tank. They're going to buff the speed of the Shark, not so much, even TS5 and even on the M6A2A1. They're going to buff even the traverse speed of the T54 light tank. They are going to buff the LT432 and the HP pool and dispersion. They're going to buff again. They're going to buff the dispersion of the STG. And yeah, the aim time for 252U, KV4, and AS3, that's great. Those tanks were quite long aim time. KV5, they're going to buff the full gun, and you'll see after they are not going to buff only that. And even the IS5 gun, they're going to buff it. IS3, KV5, they're going to buff lots of things. They're going to buff the ISU uh, hit points, but not the speed, will be nerfed. Same thing goes for the SU-101. They're nerfing its top speed. They're going to buff the ISU 130. They're going to buff even the SU 130 PM. Buff for the Indian Panzer, not very needed. On the other parts, maybe armor, but not on the base aim time. Another tank that will be buffed is the Tiger 2. It will be received more hit points, more rate of fire, more DPM from 1000 will be go to 2100. Very high jump for this tank, but it will nerf the dispersion and the speed, so it will be less speedy. The we are there now. We are going to see the VKs. They're going to buff the dispersion. Yeah, not great. They're going to nerf the J Panther 2 full gun. It will be receive a little bit of nerf, not so much. I don't know why they did this, but Wargaming. 1 millimeter nerf from the FE 4001. I think this is a joke because, of course, not. Or maybe they are going to give the same gun barrel to the FE 4001, and they're going to buff the Centurion. Great buff, but not this buff. This is the tank that worries me the most. the Carnarvon. The Carnarvon actually will receive lots of DPM buff. It will have 3000 of DPM if you actually sum this. This is a full tank and DPM. Let me check it. Yeah, 2500 with everything. So it would be 3000 of DPM. This tank will be a beast if well used. Even they're going to buff the Chieftain, not the tier 10 but tier 8. They are going to nerf the AT-15, buff the Charioteer speed, buff the Ori, but nerf its speed, buffing the T-34 free, buffing the VZ, the Borask is actually a test tag. They're going to nerf the speed of the IMX 5100, but you'll see they will go buff it later on. They're going to buff the Pantera, they're going to buff the TVP and the Skoda, but TVP will be buffed in other parts. They're going to buff even the Jumbo, buff the Jackson. Yeah, those buffs are quite, let me tell you, are minimal. Unless for the Churchill 7, the Churchill 6, they're going to buff those guns, but they're not a little bit, guys, not so much. So this is all the buff they are going to do. Let's see the armor. Actually, I didn't notice any changes with the E100 model, and you'll see the T54 lighting will be a little smaller, and the front armor will be more angled. Let loading, yeah. My God, hi, why this Wi-Fi is so. Let me just close maybe Steam, yeah. Just close it. 140 millimeters, and let's go to 8.5. Loading again. It wasn't Steam. Are you here? Okay. And you'll see 160. So it will be more angled and the tank will be smaller. This is what I told you for the KV5. Oh god, this is so slow. Let me just close even this one and this one. I will open them later. KV5 wasn't actually the greatest tank, but it was very funny. But the armor wasn't so, honestly, it wasn't so good. Now look at an 8.5, and at 8.5 this tank became very solid armored. They are going to they are not going to buff but they are going to huge buff those weak points. 2000 to 200 more. So with AP you can't penetrate here, or you can penetrate him or here, but KV5 could very do mm, bad things to you. Those will be remain weak points, but guys, this tank has 150 millimeters of side armor. It could actually give this angle, and yeah, this will be very bad for you. So huge buff for the KV5. Same thing goes to the VK45 as maybe someone didn't notice because they didn't buff anything on this tank apart of the armor, and you'll see but they nerfed the lower plate. So this plate, yeah, very great. Um, the Torre 190 and see after 8.5 how this tank will become strong. The upper rate will add more armor, so 250 millimeters of armor, a part of the weak points. The lower plate will be nerfed, but the turret will be super strong, 250 millimeters, even the cupola. So if you manage to go all hold down position, this tank became super strong. And remember that this tank is very fast and it has a pretty decent gun. They're going to buff the lower classes of the VZ111. Maybe it was too fragile for them. Yeah, this tank becomes more armored. They're going to buff the 50T turret a little bit. So from 150, it becomes like 180, as I remember, 170. So you can actually enjoy more going all down with this tank, even a part of this tank. We have that with me. This is another massive buff from the IMX 5100 that wasn't supposed to be a strong armor tank, but they buffed its turret by a lot. So this tank can actually go hold down and unleash the clip apart of the tabula, but you have to be very cautious to use it. But you now you have a pretty solid turret. I think they buffed the upgrade of the Pantera 80 millimeters, and guys, this from 100, the turret became the same. As I told you, TVP VTU received a massive buff from its armor because this tank was actually trash tank. From, yeah, as you see, 200 millimeters of front armor, so this tank can use its turret quite good. But you remember this gun is very good, honestly. You see buff from the and you the, and the Panzer becomes a little bit smaller. So this is, of course, I didn't cover all, but I covered the main parts of these buff and nerfs that Wargaming will do at 8.5. And of course, as they say here, they could be different. But guys, I think that they will introduce some tanks from meta. For example, the KVK will become very strong. Even the KV5 could be very powerful. And 8.5 it will receive a huge buff armor, as you see. I didn't understand what they did to the E100 again. I don't know. And the major buff are going to be maybe for tier 8s to maybe change the meta or to balance with those power creeper tier 8. Maybe this because this one was weak, this one was fast, and even this one was quite weak, and the KV5 was weak. I like how they are going to buff those tanks to maybe make them stronger or something. And this is a very good. So, guys, for the video of today, it's everything. If you have a question or if you have something to ask, tell me. And the site where if you want to see is this one, Blitzhanger. Is a very good site for beginners or for even advanced players. So, if you enjoyed the video, put a like. If you don't, put a dislike. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.